You can go block after block after block in this town and see an empty textile building.
This is my grandparents' house in Burlington, North Carolina. While it's nothing extravagant, it is a nice house. See, my grandparents worked in a textile mill for almost combined 80 years, both in the back working the looms and in the front working the books. Textile mills provided Burlington with a solid middle class that they were able to rely on over the years. Its proximity to farms that could produce cotton, along with its proximity to the Haw River, which could provide power, led many textile plants to call Burlington their home. So how did we go from middle-class America to an abandoned textile mill on every corner of this town?
Well, there are a couple of drivers to what happened to the textile industry in America and in North Carolina and in this area, specifically. The onset of NAFTA was clearly one of the drivers, NAFTA provided the climate for low-cost, low-wage manufacturing outside of the U.S., particularly in Mexico. But at the same time, and often not given enough credit or blame for what happened to the textile industry, is the rise of China at nearly the same time. So we're talking from probably 98, 99, 2000, 2001, many of the quotas and restrictions on imports from the Far East, particularly China, were dropped, and much textile production began to go overseas to China. And by 2008, it was pretty complete. So between NAFTA, China, to a lesser extent, India and Vietnam, and those are a little bit more recent than that period. But China was, in my mind, China was an even bigger driver to put the final nail in the coffin, even more so than NAFTA.
It's not rocket science. One thing happened: imports. I've been in this business for 50 years, and I can buy fabric from numerous countries, mainly China, Turkey, Indonesia. I can buy fabric today cheaper than I could make it 50 years ago. Some of the work they did trying to create neutral zones between Mexico and the United States hurt us. I think those NAFTA laws were bad laws, but it enables so many people to ship goods into Mexico, like from China, and then ship it from Mexico into the United States.
I remember it was probably, I think 1998 or 1999, at a company event, Alan Gant, Glenn Raven had been isn't still in the Gant family for 125 years. I remember Alan at an event, I remember clearly him saying, I think it was an event for retirees or something, it was in a tent outdoors, and it was again 98, 99, and he said that we're, closing up or selling our yarn operations, that we'd had, the yarn spinning operations. He said that, essentially overnight, I think it was in the space of a month, the price for a pound of spun yarn dropped in half. Dropped in half, which instantly made spinning operations in Alamance County, unless you're doing something very special and specific or very high end, made commodity yarn spinning, it's not feasible anymore. And that was primarily China. That production went to China. The things that went to Mexico with NAFTA that hurt companies like Burlington were primarily cotton for jeans, and that mainly went to Mexico, especially at first. But so with those kind of economics, I mean, it was just the handwriting was on the wall.
I began to wonder what happened to the folks who lost their jobs. What had become of them?
But the people, caught up in that loss of their jobs, obviously hugely affects them. Many of those people left the workforce and never returned, creating quite a bit of poverty. And there are service jobs that most folks, who did find a job went to, but they're pretty limited.
It has so many ramifications to all of a sudden say, look, we got to go out and we got to buy insurance. All of a sudden our retirement plans are thrown out the window. If I get kids in school, what are we going to do? If I'm saving for college, my college, a lot of them in their upper 40s, kids just getting ready to go to school, and all of a sudden, their income's gone.
But again, my research may just never return to the workforce. Mm-hmm. The poverty rates in Alamance County are tragically high, with all the associated problems that go along with that, and hunger and child poverty. It changed. It changed just from my almost 20 years living here as a resident of Alamance County. It's really changed the picture of it.
Burlington, this town, I can remember, 50 years ago, you probably could get a half a dozen jobs before the sun sets. Wonder how many you get today before the sun sets. And then what kind of job you got? You want to work at Walmart? You want to work at one of the malls or Alamance Crossing?
Since this 99, 2000, a lot of things along the interstate, they're really kind of concentrated right on the interstate, are there that weren't there. First up was, the Best Buy and Target and that shopping center. And then years later, just fairly recently, Alamance Crossing, and then the Outlet Center after that. And yeah, there's a lot of jobs there. But they're retail jobs. They are just above minimum wage jobs. Fast food restaurants, chain restaurants, retail stores. Most of those jobs are 30-hour, part-time only work. Absolutely, I know that for a fact. And it's it's not the good jobs, the knowledge worker jobs are not are not here in this county.
So the question begs to be asked: will Burlington ever recover, or are they doomed to stay in a state of poverty for the rest of their years?
If small business, for example, would start getting really strong support from government, I think you'd see some of the manufacturing base coming back, but it will never come back with companies like the old Burlington Industries. I don't think you'll ever see a company in the textile industry, with 88,000 employees. Hell, it's not going to happen.
If we don't tackle the education question, we're going to cause ourselves to stay in that malaise of an economy and become a bedroom community, which we've largely, become. A lot of the housing in the area, many of the all that housing was built it was built in the 2000s. There's still some more new housing going up. I've noticed just in the last year or two, is mainly for commuters. It's mainly for people who work, as far away as Raleigh and Greensboro. So we've come, and now that we have all the retail and the shopping and the things that we didn't have, 10 years ago, we've become much more of a bedroom community in the traditional sense than we have a manufacturing center. But with education and with a concerted effort on the part of the state mainly, county a little bit, I think we could become a very good location for light manufacturing or for knowledge based kinds of jobs very easily in this county. We have great universities and great places to live, beautiful climate, all the wonderful things that make people want to come to North Carolina. We have here in Alamance County. It's just the jobs disappeared. But I think we could get jobs back. I don't think there'll be textile jobs. Customers just aren't there. But I don't think we're doomed. I don't think we're doomed. It's a great question to ask. I think we're setting ourselves up for failure if we do not handle the question of primary and secondary education.